We feel it.
Yeah, feeling kind of good. I mean, I do like the direction that the team went in the offseason as far as just growing from last season, being the second year of Tom Monken's system. You're able to add new things, add new wrinkles. So that's going to be good. As far as Zay Flowers in his second season, that's going to be something that we'll have to monitor how he looks as far as his growth and development. But the sky's the limit for him. Rashad Bateman fully healthy. Re-signed in the offseason to a less than market value contract. So something where, he's feeling like he needs to prove himself. The team wants him to prove himself. So hopefully that's a perfect marriage. And we reap the benefits because of it. But as far as the season in general and, this upcoming game, I really just want to see growth because, when you sign your quarterback to the type of money Lamar was signed to, 185 guaranteed. There's going to be some cap decisions you have to make. So you can't re-sign everybody. You like to retain all your talent, but it oftentimes doesn't work that way. So now we've gone with the youth movement on both sides of the football. The defense is, much more. It is in a much more opportune spot to kind of continue last year's success. Although we lost some key vets. We just have to see if the young guys can step up on the defensive line and, a secondary, I think is going to be one of our strengths, see if our young linebackers can kind of get in there and make some plays. And then on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line, we'll talk more about that later, but, I'm excited for the Ravens season to begin. Last year, going into it, Sko mentioned me saying this is our year. Last year, I really felt like it was our year, and you saw the type of team we had and how it ended. So we were close, but we didn't accomplish our goal. This year, my expectations are a little bit more tempered just because I know this is a young team and we're gonna have to prove it out on the field. Last year really doesn't matter because the team is different. We're different at key positions. That can be a good or a bad thing. It just depends on the work that we put in and, how we scheme, how we grow from defeat. If we like to not repeat our mistakes, if we like to grow from our mistakes, if we come with that mind state, then the sky's the limit. But, it's really depends on how we go out there and look. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Keith, how you feeling?
Echo Nick's sentiments. I mean, it's week one, so I temper all expectations with that. You know what it's like after a long summer, long off season, where we haven't seen football in a while. And I mean, the last time we saw football was it left a bad taste in our mouth. So obviously you get a chance for get back, but is it really get back? It's week one. I hear a lot of fans right now putting a lot of stock. To me, it sounds like this is the AFC title game that's going down Thursday. It's not. We saw Detroit go into Kansas City and beat them week one last year. So let's just temper all expectations. We have a young offensive line like Nick prefaced. Got a whole lot of young pieces, some young pieces on the outside as well. So going into the game, I'm just looking for us to begin to stack and build, looking to see what year two of this Todd Monken offense looks like. With Lamar Jackson behind the helm. I'm trying to see how we pick up the blitz this year. Obviously, they blitzed us a lot in January, and it didn't look good. Lamar was 1 for 6 against the blitz for about 13 yards passing. So that's an area that I'm looking for us to improve in. Schematically what Spagnuolo is with that defense, and for whatever reason, they've been able to dial it up and contain us. So the Ravens just have to stick to what we do, run the football, control the time of possession, and as long as you can keep 15 off the field, which is a tough ask, you've got a chance. But we've been in almost every game against this team. We've just beat ourselves. So you get an opportunity, I guess, to get right Thursday night, start the season off on a positive note. But I preface it with saying that this is a team that you ultimately, until you beat them in January, what would a win in September mean? So obviously, it'll be nice to go out and win on Thursday night, but we got bigger goals and expectations, and this is just a building block for us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Keith, let me know who's playing, who's suiting up for both sides. Who's getting the helmet, who's not.
Yeah, for the most part, both teams are relatively healthy. Running back Raheem Ali was limited today in practice by rookie Adisa Isaac didn't practice at all. And obviously for the Chiefs, they've had the injury, the Hollywood Brown, which occurred over the preseason. He did not practice. It looked like he's. I mean, obviously he's not going to play either. So that looks like the only one they'll be missing come Thursday night. So both teams relatively healthy going into the season. That's all you can ask for as a fan.
Absolutely. So let's get into. We're gonna do things a little different. So I'm gonna go around the horn. We'll start with Nick. Important matchups going into this week 1 matchup against the Chiefs.
Yeah, so the matchups that I wanted to highlight was our offensive line versus Chris Jones. And for obvious reasons, right? He wreaked havoc all last season, especially versus us in the AFC Championship game. And again, we talked about the offensive line this year, and the interior specifically is young and inexperienced, albeit talented. We got Andrew Voorhees, who missed all of his rookie season last year. He'll be making his first start at left guard, so he'll be side. He started 25 games at right guard at USC, so he's a versatile lineman. But left guard is going to be something different for him. And after 2 preseason games, he played like a rookie, right? He had a lack of consistency, missed some blocks. But again, it's preseason, it's things you're supposed to get to work in the offseason and preseason and training camp. So can't hold that against them too much. Just want to see how it develops over the course of the season. I don't expect it to be perfect week 1. I expect this unit to grow as we move forward, but it's a tough task asking them to contain Chiefs pass rush. The Chiefs did well last season in the playoffs against us. Was they played pretty disciplined. They were able to stay in their base defense, able to have extra defenders in coverage while reaching home without having to send the house. And they also dared us to have to throw the ball once they stacked the box as well. So I'm assuming that they're going to try to do a similar strategy. We're going to have to block. It really comes down to us being able to block and execute on the outside and win on the outside. So he's going to be a big part of that, as well as Daniel Falehi, 6'8", 380-pound right guard at this point, right? Is he going to have the bend to be able to play that position? He's played tackle sparingly over the last couple of seasons, filling in for Stanley and Patrick McCarry, but now he faces a new challenge having to play in the interior. So I'll say this nicely. I mean, there aren't too many guards in the NFL at his size. I mean, he's a mammoth, right? So with that, you have some advantages, but being that the type of run scheme we employ, we need linemen to be able to get to the next level. We need them to be able to be agile and move their feet. 6'8", 380 pounds. We will see. Hand placement, knee bend, being able to get to the second and third levels. By all accounts, has gotten better since the start of training camp. But then you have to ask yourself, what was the bar there? How bad was it at the start of training camp? And how much better? Was it marginally? Was it much better? We'll see. But these are question marks going into it. You do have a rock in Tyler Linderbaum as far as at center, but even then, flanked between inexperience, interior pressure is going to be not only important as far as Lamar Jackson, but also the new run game that we'll have with Derrick Henry. So definitely think that is going to be a key matchup. If we can get some production there, it's gonna allow us to do some things on offense that we want to see.
Okay. I'm rocking with you. Keith, your matchup
Yeah,
for the week.
that leads me right into my matchup, actually, which is Derrick Henry and his Ravens rushing offense against his Chiefs defense. As everyone knows, the Ravens running back carried the ball for 6 times in our AFC title game for 23 yards. It's not going to cut it. It'll never cut it. It's never been the Ravens offense. And so going into this game, obviously you're looking at Derrick Henry, who's logged 447 yards in 4 games against the Chiefs. He averages 5.7 yards a clip with 6 rushing touchdowns. So I'm looking to see if we can pound the ball. Obviously, as Nick said, it's a young offensive line, but you got some girth up there. You got some size. So went up front and allow Derrick Henry to get downhill. And I think if he can get downhill, it only opens up the game for 8. And then after that, options are limitless.
All right. Last leads us right to keys.
Hit me on a slant. Give me keys to the inside. They took the keys. We don't have any keys.
Now give me the keys.
Man's got his own segment.
Niggas moving up in the world.
Yeah, the man's got his own segment. I like it.
No, I mean, just to speak on with something that Nick talked about, he talked about Zay and Bateman. That's my main matchup going into the game. Just, I'm expecting, Zay needed a little redemption at the last year, how last season ended, and then the offseason problems. Just, just want to know that his head's in the game. And expecting the big thing, he's the number 1 receiver now. Like, he was coming as rookie last year, coming to his own, but he's the bona fide number 1 receiver. So, he got to perform like it. And then we talk about Bateman. Like you said, I don't know, what was the point of the contract extension? I mean, I don't know. Maybe just to, get it done early. But you have to have a first round draft pick year. You have to be that guy. You have to be somebody that be able to take the pressure off of Zay, because they will throw the double on them if they know you're going to play the way you've been playing. The pass offense was, Lamar ended up with the stats. He ended up with a playoff game. But the passing numbers, they were atrocious. The wide receivers were atrocious. Just not a good game from the receivers, not a good game from the tight end. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to, the receivers in the second year Moncton system. I think that's going to be the telling sign of, now we can develop these routes. We saw the stepping stones. We saw a lot of underneath stuff, a lot of wheel routes and stuff like that. So now it's time to compound the routes and you build them on top of routes. And we're going to see, what type of, where Lamar at, where he is in the second year with Moncton. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this season. The defense, I think, is going to be what the defense is going to be. We can get a little bit of pressure. We can get some of the pressure we got last year. We should be decent. We got pro ballers at each level. So I'm not really concerned about the defense. Short of injury, we deep, like Nick said, secondary, that's going to be the strength of the team. They be able to serve. So I'm not really worried about defense. I'm just concerned about, not really, it's not a concern, but I'm interested to see what the second year offense look like. Are you able to go out there and dominate? Are you able to, how are you going to use Derrick Henry early in the game, late in the game? Is it going to take away from what Lamar is doing? So it's just an interesting aspect to see. But the one thing I like my expectations, like I understand, it's a young team, like y'all said. So you kind of temper expectations, but it's like, for me is my expectations are high. I don't think they lost much. I don't think everything I hear, like I said, we don't know what this team is going to be. We don't know how the team is going to jump. But everything I hear out of camp, everything I hear as far as the coaches, the defensive coaching, everything I hear about Lamar, how he's locked in, is like they didn't lose a lot. They didn't lose too much. So I expect them to go out there and pretty dominate. I expect them to be, when you just like when you start a job, your second year of job, I expect you to everything should gel, everything should start working. So that's what I'm expecting from this offense. I'm expecting this offense to go out there and just dominate. Like we saw aspects of it last year, but we also saw them so last year. I want them to take out that dull game that they had over the last couple of years, where they just get into a spell where it's 3 and out. I want to see, they might have a game where they have 2 good drives. Then they have a next game where they don't have any, no decent drive, 1 good drive, 2 good drives here. I want to see that consistently. Even if you ended up with 3 points, I need to see the consistency in the second year of offense. I think that's going to be the key to the team. Because you got to think about it. Lamar, I mean, he can have 2 unanimous MVPs, and his stats weren't as good as his stats last year. Weren't as good as his stats in his first MVP season. He still won it, So it's like you look at in the second year of his offense. If he did what he did last year, you're expecting him to go out and maybe win a 3rd MVP, and that's what my expectation is. I'm not, I temper them a little bit because of the line. That's the only thing I'm worried about. That's my main concern is the offensive line. It can get ugly. That's what I'm saying. People are not I don't think people are talking about how bad it can get with that offense. Like it can get really bad to the point where it can derail the season. So short, if that line hold up, my expectations are the Ravens should go out there and they should win the AFC North and they should be #1 seed and they should be able to get to a Super Bowl. Like I'm not tempering anything for them. Just because they're a young team. I feel like if we don't have the best player in the game, we have the top 2 player in the game, and he should be able to get the job done. But then we got to talk about the coaching. And can the coaching get you there? And that's my thing. And I think that's what holds this team back is, the line and the coaching. Because I think even that he's a little bit stubborn. He wants to play his guys. He wants to, do it the way he wants to do it. And I don't know if Lions holds up, but that's what's going to hold the Ravens back. It's going to be John Harbaugh, like every year. So we'll see. Not really.
I like we starting already. Roll that man under that bus already.
Not putting
21 minutes in.
Yeah, not put too much Thursday. Of course, I want to win Thursday, but I mean, like you said, it's not. It doesn't make or break the season. It's not. Last year is what last year was. I want to keep talking about the AFC Championship game. It's a new season. You just got to. Hopefully, if you go in there and you just be fun. I just want to be fundamental. Don't go in there creating a bunch of false starts like we saw in the regular, like the preseason. Just be fundamentally sound, man. Just like a regular football. Just look like a team that look like they want to do something.
I like it.
I mean, listen, I agree. And just going back to the O-line, I mean, it just reminds me of that first, what was it, 2022, when we had Skull's favorite player, Villanueva,
my man,
at left tackle, and Lamar was just out here just running for his life. And we had to deal with injuries that season. I think, was Lamar knocked out that season towards the end?
Yeah, that's when he got hurt versus the Browns, right?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and we were the first to break the news, or at least make the observation that Lamar was losing weight, considerable amount of weight, before everybody's just started talking about it every other day. But, with him playing at 205 with no offensive line, yeah, he's going to be able to get out of there quicker, but he also is not going to have that girth, so to speak, to take as much bruising as he might need to take with this offensive line. So that's going to be a consideration too. Are we going to be able to keep him alive for a whole season? But saying that, Keys mentioned year 2 of Todd Monken's system. Well, in year 1, Zay Flowers, 45% of his 850 some odd yards came from yards after the catch. So what we were doing was getting the ball in his hands quickly, letting him work in space, letting him create. That's going to be something that we're going to need to do if we can't block or pass protect. Same with Bateman, as far as him being able to work in slants over the middle and intermediate routes. He's such a great route runner. He's going to have to show us, because we need him to get open quickly if defenders are going to be sending the blitz against Lamar. And also, teams are, probably going to try to mimic what the Chiefs did last season and other teams have done in previous playoff runs. I mean, seemingly they play us differently in the regular season than they do in the playoffs. I don't know if they start to adapt that playoff strategy and just try to employ it for an entire regular season. I'm not sure, but we're going to have to come up with an answer for the way the Chiefs defended us, because it's similar to the way the Titans decided to defend us. And it was similar to the way the Bills decided to defend us when it came down to one and done, win a game and you move on. That's how they choose to attack us, and we're gonna have to come up with an answer for that. So Keys mentioned the receivers. I definitely think Zay less so, but definitely Bateman. He's gonna have to just be an option for us. And then Monken, to your point, Keys, or year 2, we're gonna have to find a way to get Andrews and Likely on the field together, not like pulling one off the field and putting one on the field. No, using them in tandem like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and allowing them to play meaningful snaps and most of the snaps together. Because they might come in for a few packages last year, but they weren't on the field together at the same time much. We need them on the field all the time, because if you think about it, there's not a lot of depth on the outside. And, Likely might be our third best pass catcher. Might be our second best pass catcher. So I would say third, because we count Zay and Mark. So yeah.
Bateman, they do not love you, man. They don't
Well,
love you.
it's not about love. It's about
What have you done? I mean,
it's about production.
Yeah, like you
like
have
we're not going to
You
just
know that
Kenny
better
Pickett
than
it.
anybody.
We ain't going to Kenny Pickett
You gotta
it.
tell
You know what I
me.
mean?
You gotta tell me.
Yeah,
I know. You gotta tell me.
You got to show us first before
Oh,
we
sure.
provide it. Like I'm not. Yeah, we're not green. Like we're not just going to be like, all right, yeah, no.
And and like he said, with as far as the wide receivers in the secondary, go after that secondary. I mean, they lost L'Jarius Sneed in the offseason. Obviously, they got all pro Trent McDuffie back there, but test them, see what they got early, and really put the pressure on them and see what that secondary looks like, because it's without Sneed. To me, they're not the corners aren't as physical now. That's been the problem. That physicality and them getting the blitz, it wasn't really much time for wide receivers to get open. But I think this year it could be a little different. I think he was the key to that secondary, but we'll see.
And you can't get out coached by Steve Spags either. You know, he
Seems
won the
to be
last
a trend.
Yeah, he won the last battle. But if we're going to win this war and get back into the thick of things, I mean, we're going to have to start out coaching other teams. And, you know, Monken, he's going to have to draw it up. Shout out to Zach Orr. We're going to have to see him call plays for the first time in his career. We don't know what to expect, but we do know he's a hell of a football mind, and he was a hell of a player before injuries took over. So,
just don't zone Patty in the first half again.
yeah, and then Roquan Smith talking about.
Glad
Go
you
ahead,
brought that
sir.
up.
Go ahead.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask, what was the feeling around that statement of him saying, "Stop the run and put the ball in Patty's hands and make him one-dimensional"?
That's what he said.
Yes, that is what the Pro Bowler said.
I think at some point you gotta leave 15 alone, but
He's just excited for the season. Really
amped up. He ready to go.
he
I don't like it.
I mean, but I think he like I think he said pre-show. He might think still he was Chicago where they need wallpaper or something. I don't know. We don't do stuff like that here. Like, what's the point?
I don't mind if you do it. You just gotta back it up. He talked a good game before the AFC Championship too, and then came out and Justin Tucker's helmet was getting kicked.
They was laughing at him post game in the locker room.
You can't talk like that and then not come out with fire, right? Like, I don't care about losing. I'll say this all the time. It's not the fact that we lose; it's how you lose. If we lose and we die with our sword in our hand, or we die with our guns blazing, I can respect that and go out like, you know, we went out like, you know, blaze of glory. But we ain't go out with no blaze of glory last year. We went out sad. So if we're gonna do all this yapping and talking, I don't know. It's just not for me if there's no action behind it.
All right, with all that being said, week 1 of the Pick'em starts now. Game predictions. What's the outcome week 1?
I mean, I got the Chiefs. I'm sorry. I mean, what you want me to say?
You go for a championship early, like you.
Oh!
I respect it.
I mean, I would love to be wrong, but you know, this ain't the Super Bowl. I don't, you know, if we lose week 1, who cares? I just don't know. I feel like we got to give the Chiefs some. I don't believe that we beat ourselves. I believe that they beat us and they took their foot off the gas. After a while, they decided to play ball control offense and just run out. And they're able to do that because they're just better coached. Like, we've tried to do that in big moments, but it don't be working out like for us in offense. But they actually know how to do that. And that's what they did. And then when they needed a play on third down, they just went deep and sealed it. So, and then you talk about the fact that how do they bounce back from that? I mean, they won a Super Bowl by dinking and dunking all year. And then now they have 4-2 speed on the outside. You got Samaje P. Ryan, who's replacing old Jerick McKinnon to play on third down. You know what I mean? Patty loves to dump down. So you have that option. You have speed now vertically. Kelsey came back. Rasheed Rice is in his second season. He's only going to get better. The offensive line is only better with, you know, many people on that front. So they weren't supposed to win last year, and they got better. I don't know if we're where we want to be. I think towards the end of the season, I think it'll be a better as far as being able to me being more confident that we can win. But it's week one. They're getting their Super Bowl rings. They're going to be amped up. I got the Chiefs in a close game.
Keys, who you got?
I mean, I could be just be a homer and just pick us just because. I mean, that would be the only reason. I mean, they could win this game, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs at home. Just from the simple fact, I think the crowd is gonna be a factor. I don't until this offensive line show me, I can't just come out here and say they're gonna be able to step up against Chris Jones and them boys in Kansas City the night that they get their rings. That might be too much. That might be asking too much of them. So I'm just going with the Chiefs for the simple fact that I think Lamar gonna be under constant pressure all night.
I like where this is going. Keith, who you got?
I'm going with the Ravens. You know me. Ravens 27, Chiefs 21.
Oh, he got a score. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Ravens win. Like I say, it's week one, so you really don't know what to expect, and that goes on both ends. I'm just banking on 8, making a play or 2 more. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised either way we win or lose this game. It's more about the building blocks for me this season, but give me the Ravens in game 1, 27-21.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
Oh, surprise.
I know it's crazy, right? But no, I mean, I agree with Keith. I'm and all of y'all. I wouldn't be surprised if y'all won this game. I am interested to see how they deploy Xavier Worthy early. That speed is intriguing. They haven't had that kind of speed since Tyreek Hill, and he might be faster than Tyreek Hill.
You gotta get physical with him.
That too. He's light in the ass. Pause. So but I want to see if you can even get a hand on him. You can't touch what you can't see. So I want to see how they deploy him. Isaiah Pacheco taking steps to being the top running back in this league. But the offensive line, as y'all have highlighted a lot during this segment, is you going up against George Karlaftis and Chris Jones and them boys, and they just gonna build on what they did last year. George Karlaftis is only gonna get better. Chris Jones is all world. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Lamar gonna have to show that elusiveness early and probably often, and I think that's gonna be the key. 15 makes a couple more plays than 8, and that's what I'm banking on. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
And also to point out too, we have the addition of Derrick Henry and Keith nicely mentioned earlier as far as his career against the Chiefs and how proficient he's been against them. But you got to think, what type of game is this going to be? If this is going to be a back and forth game, then this will be something that is a benefit to Derrick Henry. But if we go down 10 points at any point, 13 points at any point, this becomes a Justice Hill game, right? So we also got to remember too that Derrick Henry for the last 3 or 4 years, he's been game scripted out of games. When Tennessee went down and it was time to get back to the game or try to air it out, Derrick Henry wasn't on the field. So
Tajay Spears.
So Tajay Spears, and then before that, even way before, you had what was it, D'Amico Murray?
Yeah, he started off. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It's been a few iterations of it. Whatchamacallit? Yo from New England went down there. I forget his name. I'll find his name. I forgot. Running back from New England went down there for a couple years too. But yeah, man, it's going to become a Justice Hill game, and then there's a chance he might get game script out of the game. So I'm also want to see how we utilize Derrick Henry. I know he'll be the battering ram when we're up, but when we're not up, how will we use Derrick Henry? Will we stick to the run? Will we allow him to remain in the game? Or will we lean on him even when we're down as opposed to when we're up? And also, the D line as well. We didn't really touch on it, but I don't want to say there's question marks there. We re-signed Nnamdi Madubuike.
Yes.
And we returned people like Travis Jones and whatnot who could be. We'll talk about him maybe a little later, but there's some question marks as far as some of the pass rush that we got last year not returning and relying on some of the Oways of the world and Ojabo, so to speak, at linebacker. It's going to be very interesting to see where the pressure comes from this season. Interior, I do believe that wasn't a fluke from Matabuke, but we're going to have to see an encore, right? And then 2, who's going to step up beside him? Last year it was Clowney and a few others. This year, no Clowney. Who's going to be that guy to wreak havoc and consistently get pressure on the quarterback? Right now, those are question marks.
No Owe. I mean, that leads into this. Is Owe one of the guys that you are expecting to take the next step this season?
Somebody wrote somebody called him with a question. That's what you read it like you read it from a teleprompter or something.
No. I could be pretty good at this job, man. I could be pretty good. But since we're here, is it David Ojabo? This will be his first real playing action. If I'm not, he got hurt. You drafted him hurt. Owe plays like he's hurt. Right? So who are we expecting? Is it Bateman? Bateman to break out in year 4?
Y'all have any breakout players? I mean, I'll go first. I like Trenton Simpson.
Okay.
He's going to have to show that, pass protection, not pass protection, but in pass coverage, he's going to have to show that he's a plus there. But he plays with a lot of fire. He plays with a motor, you know what I mean? Strong as the ox. So that's somebody that they're high on. And, obviously letting Patrick Queen go, you got to be high on their replacement. So be very interested to see. And, obviously he was already a speedy linebacker coming out of Clemson. So he has that speed, game-changing speed at that position. So we'll see how he goes, but I'm high on him. And then also Brandon Stevens, I think this is the year that kind of transformed him to, I don't want to say a household name, but one of those recognized names as one of the best young. And they've already kind of started talking about not being able to resign him because he's starting to price himself out of our plans. And that just goes to show, how far he's come as a player. Big, physical, can run, obviously can cover, make plays on the ball. But, I expect him to take that next step. And listen, if he and Nate Wiggins can man the outside, and Nate, his DNA is cover corner. If they can man the outside with Marlon on the inside and the safety help that we have, it lessens the need to get home as much because then you have coverage sacks. Right. So, we need to play complementary on defense. I think that we will. But those are my 2.
Yeah, I got mine was always going to be Brandon Stevens. That's I'm looking for even if he doesn't make it, I'm looking for, in my eyes, an all-pro type year. I think he that's what he's developed into. He's very physical. He's rarely getting beat. He's fundamental. Perfect size for that position. So yeah, this is like Nick said. I really expect him to. I think he took the step last year. So now I really expect him to really just define and refine his game this year, and have that all pro year. And like you said, just put your name on the radar. Hopefully we can re-sign him because I don't like young like that go. But I think Brandon Stevens is going to be good for a long time.
Yeah, for me, I got 2. I'm gonna go with the offensive line. I'm gonna go with Voorhees, who Nick talked about a little bit earlier, but having the opportunity last year to kind of redshirt a year, he's got to come in and step up and fill Zeitler's hole. So,
whoa, bro, come on.
First show of the year. First show of the
year. I was trying to do better too, but that was wild. Man. He's got to come and fill the void that Zeitler left.
Good job. Good job. A lot better. A lot better.
So I'm looking at Voorhees on the offensive line, and then on the defensive line, we just talked about him a little bit, but Travis Jones, looking for him to potentially have a breakout year. Like we talked about, where's this pressure going to come from? The interior, from the outside, with him and Matabuki in the middle. Maybe that's the opportunity to really establish that pressure inside. So if those two guys can have breakout years, one with Voorhees, it makes Lamar's jobs easier. And then if the defensive line's cooking, you know what that means. So those are my two guys I'm looking at to potentially have breakout years for the Ravens this year.
And one more guy that just came to my mind, friend of the show, Justice Hill. It's probably gonna be his last year. He had a pretty big opportunity, but it was like a muddy RB room. You know, you had JK to start, and then you had so many like people behind Gus. You know, you had Drake for a couple of weeks. It was just, you know, he had to take time to kind of develop himself and like get into that position where he was trusted, you know, consistently. But now going into the season, John Harbaugh already talked him up as virtually a starting running back in the NFL. That's out of Harb's own mouth, so to speak. Yeah. So he's going to be counted on in passing situations and pass protection. I think he's going to have an enhanced role. I think he's going to work in tandem with Henry. I don't think it's the Henry show. I think Hill's going to be used situationally and in the pass attack. So I think he's going to have and just for his career's sake. So shout out to Justice Hill, and he's worked very hard to get to this point. You know, dealing with a lot of stuff early in his career, and then now getting that opportunity, you know, he deserves it.
Definitely.
All right, let's go to the first commercial break. Nitty Gritty.
When I want some sports news, Nitty Gritty is definitely who I'm tuning into, man. They show up each week with that uncut, that raw, that unfiltered sports news.
They say the things that everyone else wishes that they can say, but they can't.
Every Tuesday and Saturday, I am locked into my favorite sports show, Nitty Gritty.
Nitty Gritty, the best show out right now. Tune in and listen, stupid.